When we talk about machines, especially today in the age of artificial intelligence, we often speak with a mixture of awe and anxiety. We see them doing things faster, better, more efficiently, writing essays, generating images, analyzing massive data sets in seconds. It's easy to feel like we're slipping behind, that somehow these tools we've created are now surpassing us. But let's pause and reframe this entirely. Machines are not some alien force that emerged independently. They're our mirror. They are made of our code, built on our logic, and trained with our data. They reflect our capacity to imagine, design, and build. In every algorithm, there's a trace of a human mind that shaped it. We project our intelligence into machines, but we forget that we're the source. The danger isn't that machines are becoming too powerful. It's that we forget the role we play in shaping them and ourselves. So when people ask, what they're really asking is, do I still matter in a world that's changing faster than I can keep up with? That's a deeply human question. But here's the truth. Machines can only replicate patterns. They don't understand the why behind what they do. They don't have purpose. They don't have a vision. We do. We are the ones who set the goals, define the problems, and ask the questions worth answering. The machine just follows. That's where the power shift really lies, not in the sophistication of the technology, but in our clarity of intention. You can have the most advanced tool in the world, but without a clear sense of why you're using it, it's like handing a compass to someone who doesn't know where they want to go. Now, this is where people get it twisted. We're not in competition with machines. We're in conversation with them. Every breakthrough in AI should be an invitation, not a threat. An invitation to get sharper about our thinking, more creative with our solutions, more intentional with our values. If you let the machine push you to become more precise, more thoughtful, more awake to what it means to be human, that's not loss, that's growth. But here's the thing. You only see machines as monsters when you forget your own agency. That's when fear sets in. That's when paralysis takes over. That's when we start handing over not just tasks, but decisions, and eventually meaning. The antidote to that is not more control, it's more responsibility. Machines don't get to define us. They only amplify whatever we feed them. Our data, our culture, our biases, our brilliance. If you feed a machine mediocrity, it will produce mediocrity. But if you feed it vision, clarity, and ethics, it becomes something else entirely, a tool for elevation. We are not meant to become like machines, cold, reactive, emotionless. We are meant to use machines so that we can become more human. That means leaning into the things no machine can do: imagination, love, intuition, presence. It means not outsourcing our thinking, not numbing out in the face of complexity. It means staying awake. Because the moment you believe the machine is the master, you start shrinking. You lower your expectations for yourself. You lose the friction that forges excellence. But when you remember that the machine is just a mirror, sophisticated, yes, but still a mirror, you begin to see the responsibility you carry, the responsibility to feed it wisely, to use it consciously, and to never confuse its output with your worth. So no, the machine is not here to replace you. It's here to reflect how well you know yourself. There's something we often forget when we talk about intelligence, especially in the context of machines. We think intelligence is about speed, about memory, about calculation. And yes, machines are extraordinary at all of that. But there's another kind of intelligence, one that's often harder to define and impossible to program. It's creativity. And that's where things get interesting. Creativity isn't just about painting or writing or composing music. It's about the capacity to see something that isn't there yet and make it real. It's taking seemingly unrelated ideas and combining them in ways that open new doors. It's asking questions no one has thought to ask before. And while machines can recombine existing data, they can't truly wonder. They don't have an internal drive to innovate. They don't wake up with an idea that keeps them up at night. We do. What makes creativity powerful isn't that it produces something beautiful. It's that it disrupts the expected. It breaks pattern. Machines operate on patterns. They detect them, optimize them, scale them. But creativity breaks them apart. It bends the rules. It sees a boundary and asks, what if that doesn't apply here? That kind of thinking is deeply human. It's messy, nonlinear, full of failure and doubt and strange detours, but it's also where all progress begins. Every major leap in science, technology, philosophy, it didn't come from a predictable sequence of events. It came from someone choosing to think differently, someone stepping outside the known and trusting that their idea, however abstract or unproven, was worth exploring. And yet, the more advanced machines become, the more tempted we are to defer to them, to let them think for us, to rely on their logic instead of trusting our creative instincts. But that's dangerous, because creativity isn't just a skill, it's a responsibility. In a world full of optimization, what we need most is originality. Not just doing things better, but doing better things. That means taking time to think, deeply and without distraction. It means stepping away from the noise, from the notifications, from the constant stimulation, and sitting with ideas, letting them unfold, letting them collide. Creativity happens when the mind is given space. It's not about forcing something brilliant. It's about making room for it to emerge. And biologically, that makes sense. Dopamine, that chemical we associate with reward and motivation, is also deeply tied to exploration. It's not just about pleasure, it's about possibility. When we allow ourselves to explore mentally, to drift into those abstract spaces, dopamine helps us stay curious. It keeps us motivated to search for connections. And it's that state curious, slightly uncertain, but open, that primes the brain for creative insight. Now, does that mean machines are useless in the creative process? Not at all. They can be incredible collaborators. They can generate options, remix ideas, help us visualize what's possible. But they need our direction. They need our questions. Without a human creative impulse guiding the process, all the machine does is echo what already exists. So the challenge isn't to outpace the machine in logic. The challenge is to go where it can't follow, into the unknown, into imagination, into those places where we don't have a map, just a sense, maybe even a feeling that something valuable might be hiding there. And when you think about it, that's what makes us most human. The ability to dream, the courage to try, the resilience to keep going when it doesn't work the first time or the 10th, the joy of stumbling onto something new and saying, that's it, that's what I've been looking for. In a world that's becoming more mechanical, more automated, more optimized, creativity isn't optional. It's essential, because it's the one thing the machine can't replicate, the art of making something out of nothing. There's a lot of talk these days about machines learning how to understand human emotion, about artificial empathy, emotion recognition, sentiment analysis. You see it everywhere. AI that can read your tone, mirror your expressions, even generate words that sound comforting. And sure, it's impressive, but let's not confuse recognition with experience. Let's not mistake simulation for feeling. Love isn't just a data pattern. It's not something you can code into a neural network or download into a chatbot. Love is a lived, embodied, deeply human experience. It's irrational at times, full of contradiction, rooted in vulnerability. It's built through trust, through time, through presence. And none of that can be replicated by something that doesn't have a body, a past, or a soul. Machines can mimic behaviors, but they don't care. They can say the right thing, but they don't mean it. They can offer suggestions based on past data, but they don't hold space for your uncertainty, your fragility, your hope. And that's what love really is, not just affection, not just attention, but the willingness to hold another person's reality alongside your own, without trying to fix it or optimize it. What's dangerous isn't that machines are becoming more human, it's that we risk becoming more like machines, less connected, less present, more transactional. We're starting to expect ourselves to respond instantly, to never waver, to stay productive even when we're hurting. But love doesn't move at the speed of efficiency. It needs slowness. It needs silence. It needs a kind of emotional spaciousness that no machine can provide. And this isn't just about relationships with other people. It's about your relationship with yourself. Because real love starts there. It's not self-indulgence. It's not soft. It's actually one of the hardest things to do. To sit with yourself when things feel heavy. To show up for your own life when you're tired or scared or unsure. Machines don't know what it means to stay with something hard because it matters. We do. We're wired for connection. Literally, oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, these chemicals that govern so much of how we feel and behave, they're all part of this ancient evolutionary system built around bonding, around cooperation, around care. When you sit with someone and they feel truly seen, truly heard, it changes both of you at a neurobiological level. That's not science fiction, that's human biology. So yes, machines will get better at sounding like us. They'll get more convincing, more nuanced. But that doesn't mean we should start expecting less from ourselves or each other. In fact, it means we need to expect more. More presence, more honesty, more moments where we put down the device, look someone in the eye, and say, I'm here. Because love is not data, it's not code, it's not scalable. It's something you choose, something you give, something you feel. And no machine, no matter how advanced, can truly feel it back. Curiosity is one of the most underrated forms of intelligence we have. We tend to celebrate knowledge, what we already know, but it's the drive to explore what we don't know that actually moves us forward. And that's the edge we have over machines. Because machines can be trained to solve problems, but they don't feel compelled to ask questions. They don't get curious. We do. That feeling you get when something catches your attention, when you lean in just a little bit more, that's curiosity in action. It's the brain lighting up with possibility. It's dopamine, not just rewarding you for finding answers, but for searching in the first place. And that's key, because curiosity doesn't need certainty. In fact, it thrives without it. It's what pushes us into the unknown, not because we're sure of what we'll find, but because we sense that there's something worth discovering. This is where the real distinction between humans and machines becomes clear. Machines optimize. They find the most efficient route to a goal and they execute it. But humans explore. We're built to wander, to make mistakes, to take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and to still find meaning in the journey. We pursue ideas not just to finish them, but to understand them. And often, we don't even know why something interests us. It just does. That's not weakness, that's signal. When you're curious, your mind is open, you're more resilient, more adaptable. You see setbacks as information, not failure. You stay in the game longer, not because it's easy, but because it's interesting. And in a world filled with endless content, constant noise, and surface-level answers, deep curiosity is a kind of rebellion. It says, I'm not satisfied with what's popular. I want to understand what's true. The truth is, curiosity doesn't just make you a better thinker, it makes you a better creator, a better problem solver, a better human. It sharpens your focus, strengthens your memory, and expands your perspective, and it's available to everyone. You don't need to be a genius to be curious. You just have to be willing to say, I don't know yet, but I want to. And yes, we live in a time where machines are getting better at producing answers. They can pull from vast databases, summarize complex topics, and even simulate insight. But they don't care about what they find. They don't experience the thrill of discovery. They don't lie awake at night thinking about a problem they can't stop turning over in their mind. That kind of inner fire, that's ours. So the question isn't whether machines can learn. It's whether we're still willing to learn, especially when there's no obvious reward. Whether we're willing to follow a thread just because it lights something up inside us. Because that's where creativity lives. That's where insight begins. And that's how real progress, human progress, happens. Stay curious, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. There's a lot of emphasis right now on learning to code, understanding algorithms, becoming fluent in the language of machines. And that's important. But if we stop there, if we teach the next generation how to build technology without also teaching them how to think, feel, and connect, we're building a future that's efficient, but hollow. Education isn't just about knowledge transfer. It's about shaping perception, building resilience, and helping people understand what it means to be human in a changing world. The ability to solve a math problem or write a piece of software is valuable, but it's not enough. What about the ability to navigate uncertainty, to manage anxiety, to collaborate with someone different from you? These are not soft skills, they're survival skills. Because the future is not just going to reward technical competence, it's going to demand emotional intelligence. Machines can calculate outcomes, but they can't reflect on values. They don't wrestle with morality. They don't wonder whether what they're doing is right. That's our role. And if we don't educate for that, we leave a gap that no amount of code can fill. We have to stop thinking of education as a race to accumulate credentials and start seeing it as preparation for life, for complexity, for contradiction. We need to create environments where young people aren't afraid to fail, where they're encouraged to ask better questions, and where they're taught how to be adaptable rather than just correct. The world isn't static. The problems we're facing, from climate change to mental health to inequality, require more than technical fixes. They require imagination, empathy, critical thinking, and those capacities aren't taught through lectures or exams alone. They're developed through experience, through reflection, through honest conversations and real-world challenges. What we need is a generation of thinkers who can bridge the gap between precision and purpose, who know how to use technology not just to make things faster, but to make things better. That only happens when education expands beyond content and reaches into character. Because machines can process information, but only humans can choose what matters. The real question we should be asking about technology isn't what can it do, but what should it do? We get so caught up in innovation and the excitement of what's possible that we forget to pause and reflect on direction. Just because a machine can do something faster or cheaper doesn't automatically mean it should. Progress without purpose is just acceleration without a destination. That's where we come in. We're the ones who have to set the compass. Machines don't have values, they don't have judgment, they optimize for goals we give them. But they don't know whether those goals make life more meaningful, more connected, more humane. That responsibility belongs to us. We need to be intentional, not just in how we use technology, but in what kind of world we're building with it. And that starts by recognizing that we don't need to become more like machines to thrive. We need to become more deeply human. We need to reclaim the things that make life rich and worth living: relationships, curiosity, beauty, integrity. Technology should serve those things, not replace them. When it amplifies human potential, it becomes a powerful ally. But when it starts to replace human purpose, it becomes a distraction, sometimes even a trap. We have a choice to make every single day about how we interact with machines and what we allow them to shape in us. It's not just about which tools we use, but how they shape our behavior, our focus, our values. Do we use them to connect or to escape? To create or to consume? To solve real problems or to avoid hard questions? If we want a world where technology enhances life rather than distracts from it, then we have to lead with vision. We have to ask harder questions, and we have to stay grounded in the one thing no machine can ever replicate: what it means to care. Use the machine, but don't lose yourself in the process. So here we are, surrounded by machines that can think faster, process more, even imitate our voices and emotions. But the real frontier isn't in their evolution, it's in ours. The real challenge is not whether technology will keep advancing, it's whether we will keep deepening our creativity, our clarity, our compassion. Because in a world of accelerating automation, the most powerful thing you can be is human. Not just biologically, but intentionally, emotionally, spiritually, fully. Machines will continue to learn patterns, predict outcomes, and simulate responses. But only we can love without reason, imagine without limit, and choose with purpose. Only we can turn raw information into meaning. And only we can decide what kind of future is worth building. So stay awake, stay creative, stay connected. Let machines do what they do, but never forget what only you can do.